Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 2. I am Frank Cizadet, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at this must be served. Federal government announced salary increment for civil servants. Plus, Trump tax returns to be released by House panel on Friday. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. We begin this afternoon with Nigeria's leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, condemning the heinous and senseless killing of a Lagos-based lawyer, Bolanle Rahim, by a trigger-happy Assistant Superintendent of Police, Drambi Vandi. Rahim was shot dead on Christmas Day by Vandi, who was attached to Ajue Police Station in Ajah. Rahim was shot when the car she was in tried to make a U-turn under the Ajah Bridge. The victim was rushed to a hospital but was confirmed dead. In a statement by his media aide Garba Shehu, the president expressed shock at such brutal killing and assured the late lawyer's family and the Nigerian Bar Association of the recurring menace of the mishandling of weapons and a wake-up call to law enforcement agencies, including the police, to ensure the full implementation of reforms instituted by the administration on the subject of weapons handling, as well as the protection of the rights of citizens. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has sent a condolence message to former House of Representatives Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, who lost his mother, Hajia Naba. The deceased was a sibling of the late Bashar Usman Tofa, a political associate of the president. In the condolence message by his spokesman, Garba Shehu, the president described the death of a mother as a painful experience. He prayed to Allah to console the former speaker and the larger Naba family. In another development, the federal government has said it will soon announce salary increments for civil servants and permanently reviewing salaries, with a plan to announce its decision in the early months of 2023. Minister of Labour and Employment Chris Ngige disclosed this to the State House correspondents after a cross-door meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the Esirok Villa practitioners earlier in the year. He described 2022 as a year of industrial disputes. We move to the legislature, where the Senate has proposed the establishment of 376 new agencies and institutions, despite moves by the federal government to restructure the public service in line with the Steve Orensaye Committee report on restructuring and rationalization of federal government parastatals, agencies, and commission. Recall that AWAD submitted a draft report in August. The report recommended the scrapping or merging of some ministries, departments, and agencies in order to reduce the cost of governance. Findings indicate that the 9th Senate has passed a total of 1,070 bills, including 376 establishment bills for the creation of various institutions and agencies, in spite of the economic challenges facing the country. Some of these establishment bills are a report. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has said that next year's general election will hold as scheduled, despite growing challenges like multiple attacks on its facilities and heightened insecurity. INEC Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, said the agency has a mandate to comply with the constitutional timeline. The commission had engaged in an internal and external review of the 2019 general election and identified the gaps that must be plunged and challenges that must be overcome ahead of the election. In politics, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has promised to address in sideline of the party's strategic meeting in Abuja. He bemoaned the high rate of insecurity and poverty and promised to address the challenges, noted that an individual cannot be rich in a poor environment. The presidential candidate also praised the creative and can-do spirit of Nigerian youths, adding that they can compete favorably with their contemporaries outside.
Insecurity is #1 thing that is impacting Nigerian economic growth today. And you need to deal with it, ensure that it is put in place aggressively, including having multi-level policing, federal, state.
Meanwhile, the Labour Party has announced a former presidential aide, Akin Oshotoku, as the new Director General of its Presidential Campaign Council. Oshotoku succeeds Doyo Kupe, who resigned as the Director General of the Campaign Council for the party's presidential candidate Peter Obi after being involved in a money laundering case. Recall that Justice Ijoma millionaire cash from former National Security Advisor NSA Sambo Dasuki, ruling that his action violated the Money Laundering Act. In judiciary matters, the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Lagos State, Moyo Onibanjo, has said the suspect in the alleged extrajudicial killings of a Lagos-based lawyer, Bolanle Rahim, will be charged to court soon. He made this known when he visited the victim's family in the Ajah area of the state, attached to the Ajiwe police station in Ajah. The Nigerian Bar Association (NBA) has since said the killer Rahim must be swiftly prosecuted and justice be immediately served. This is as the Inspector General of Police IGP Usman Baba has described the incident as unfortunate and sad and ordered a speedy investigation and prosecution of the officers. And back here, some residents of Akwa Ibom State have lamented the high cost of transportation, saying the situation has dampened the spirit of the Christmas and New Year celebrations. Speaking with Spectrum Television, the people also lamented the cost of food items and other things caused by the hike in fuel prices. A correspondent completes the report.
The hike in the price of premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol, is no longer news. While some fuel stations within Uyo Metropolis were shut during the holiday, it raised the cost of transportation, not just within Uyo Metropolis, but for people traveling to spend the festivities with their families. A lot of residents who spoke with Spectrum Television lamented how the high cost of transportation, coupled with low purchasing power, has marred their celebrations this year.
I noticed that things are very expensive here. The economic is so bad. There is no money. Bag of rice 40 in northern side than our eastern side. Before this Christmas, they said that the fuel have increased. Now we have been entering 50 naira from Ikote Benu to this plaza. Now it's 100 naira.
Things are very, very high. They say fuel is fuel. They are buying fuel in the cost of 250 naira per liter. And now we used to pay
difficult to pay the stipulated amount per drop. And this in turn affects their source of livelihood.
The fuel price is too high. We are buying fuel 280 naira a liter. It's affecting our business. So please, I want the government to look into it. the passengers are not complying. There's so much lamenting about it. So the government should look into it. The passengers are not complying this.
When fuel was between the rate of 165 and 170, we were convenient drop. But by the time the fuel was increased from 170 to 200, we couldn't bear that again. We had to hike our own fare to 100 naira per drop, though depending on the distance. But now that the fuel is like today, I bought it 270 naira per liter. It is not that easy for us to convey people who at 50 naira per drop anymore, even at that.
Although it is to sort out the issues causing the increase in the price of petrol, which will invariably reduce the cost of transportation and other commodities, especially during the festivities. Edidion Martin, reporting for Spectrum Television.
We move to Africa, where Angola's Supreme Court has again ordered the preventive seizure of the assets of Isabella dos Santos, daughter of former President Eduardo dos Santos, making it the second seizure of Isabella dos Santos' assets in Angola since 2019. The court ordered covers a hunt well as the balances of all bank accounts owned or co-owned by the daughter of the former Angolan president. According to the Supreme Court, the businesswoman damaged the Angolan state with over 1 billion euros in other criminal cases with evidences of embezzlement, influence peddling, economic participation in companies, and money laundering. Investigative panel following the arrest of alleged coup plotters. The panel will have 30 days to report back on last week's coup attempt. According to an official statement, the 11-member inquiry group sworn in includes members from the Justice Ministry, the Office of the National Security, military forces, the police and intelligence agencies. They're helping unearth allegations of plans to overthrow President Adama Barrow's government that was elected to a second term in 2021. Since 2020, military takeovers in Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso have shaken West Africa. On the foreign scene, a Pakistan court has freed a rapist after he married his victim in a settlement brokered by a council of elders to life imprisonment by a lower court in Borno district of Keba Ratungwa province for raping a deaf woman. He was however released from prison on Monday after the Rashawa High Court accepted an out-of-court settlement agreed by the rape survivor's family. Khan was arrested after his unmarried victim delivered a baby earlier this year, and a paternity test proved he was the child's biological father. The decision has outraged rights activists who say it legitimizes sexual violence against women in a country where a majority of rape goes unreported. And elsewhere, Pope Francis has said that his predecessor, Pope Benedict, held. During his general audience at the Vatican today, Francis called for a special prayer for Pope Benedict. Also, a Vatican spokesman later confirmed that in the last few hours, there has been a deterioration due to the advancement of Benedict's age. Recall that in 2013, Pope Benedict XVI shocked the world by making the almost unprecedented decision to resign from his position, citing advanced age. Still on the foreign scene, the House Ways and Means Committee will release former President Donald Trump's tax return. There will also be a formal announcement from the committee on Friday. The highly anticipated release comes after the panel last week asserted that the IRS failed to properly audit the former president's taxes while he was in office. The release of Trump's tax returns marks the conclusion of nearly 4-year legal battle House Democrats waged against the former president after they took control of the. And still to come in the news, Novak Djokovic and Nadal set to kickstart bid for 2023 supremacy in Australia. To stay with us.
Is not expected.
Many thanks for staying with us. We move now to the business world, where the Standard Organization of Nigeria's SAN has sensitized manufacturers, consumers, and other stakeholders to the need for quality and standards in goods locally manufactured or imported from conform to the relevant industrial standards. Speaking at an event in Asaba Delta State, the Senior Special Assistant to the Director General of SAN, Emeka Duru, pointed out that SAN organized a sensitization forum which is aimed at strategically projecting the vision with a view to determine areas they can be of assistance to enable them to carry out their businesses positively by following the laid-down standardization procedures. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Digital Identification for Development Project has partnered with the National Orientation Agency to drive awareness among Nigerians as it begins its pilot identity enrollment in the Federal Capital Territory and 6 states across the geopolitical zones in February next year. This is according to a statement by the Manager of External Communication persons in the country having a need and upgrading infrastructure at the National Identity Management Commission so as to be able to enroll in marginalized and hard-to-reach communities up to no fewer than 250 million persons during the project's life cycle. In health, Nigeria's Center for Disease Control (NCDC) has said a total of 583 deaths have been recorded from cholera, while 23,544 through 47. The report revealed that the suspected cases were reported across 270 local government areas in 33 states in Nigeria. Cholera is an endemic and seasonal disease occurring annually, mostly during the rainy season and more often in areas with poor sanitation. And while following reported cases of the resurgence of Ebola and other communicable diseases, the Federal Capital Territory Administration has tightened its disease surveillance system in order to minimize its impact on the territory. The director of the FCT Public Health Department, Dr. Sadiq Abdul Rahman, revealed reports say staff of the Epidemiological Division of the Public Health Department have been placed on red alert under the supervision of the FCT Health and Human Services Secretariat. In sports, Nigeria international Victor Osimhen is leading the number of goals scored by strikers from open play in the Italian Serie A in 2020 and has turned into a prolific striker for Napoli. Reports say with 18 goals, the highest by any player in the Serie A 2022, the 23-year-old leads the list of highest goals scored in the year under review. And still in sports, Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal, their veterans and great rivals, eyeing up yet more Australian Open. Glory at Melbourne Park in January, with the pair sharing 43 Grand Slam titles between them. Nadal is the defending Australian Open champion and Djokovic is a 9-time winner. Djokovic returns down for the first time since being sensationally detained and then deported ahead of the 2022 Australian Open because of his refusal to get vaccinated for COVID-19, making him miss 2 majors because of his vaccination status. According to reports, 18 countries will compete in the event across 11 days from Thursday, with Brisbane, Perth, and Sydney hosting group games in a round-robin format. On our entertainment, well-regarded reggae artist in his own right, Joseph Joe Mercer Mali has died at the age of 31. A representative of the Jamaican-born Mali confirmed his death but did not give a cause. However, reports say he was found in a vehicle after suffering an asthma attack. Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness said in a tweet called Marley's passing a huge loss to the music as we look to the next generation, and offered his condolences to Marley's parents. Stephen and Kerry Marley released his debut album, Comfortable, in 2016. Following it up with Eternal in 2021, is reportedly survived by a wife and daughter. Still on entertainment, one half of the P-Square recorded the singer made headlines when he proudly showcased his new woman identified as Ivy Ifoma as they marked their one-year anniversary. In response to the comments trailing his new relationship, the singer said in an Instagram live session that he had been single for 4 years before he met Ifoma. Okoye and his ex-wife Anita had been married for 8 years when she filed for divorce, alleging a number of problems. They were recently granted a divorce by a high court in Abuja. At spectrumtv.ng. You've been watching Spectrum News at 2. Many thanks for watching. I am Francis Edit. To enjoy the rest of your day.